Good morning, Central Georgia. I'm David Earle. 365 days have passed since the new crime initiative was put in place by the city of Macon.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. The GOP's attempt to take back the White House kicks into gear now. Mitt Romney has officially accepted the party's nomination.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist David Ernst. We are seeing mostly cloudy skies this morning, but we could see a little more sunshine today, and we're looking at lower rain chances as well. I'll have the details in your full forecast.
Those stories and more on this Friday, the last day of August.
This is 13 WMAZ Eyewitness News Morning.
Hope and change had a powerful appeal. But tonight, I'd ask a simple question. If you felt that excitement when you voted for Barack Obama, shouldn't you feel that way now that he's President Obama?
Criticism of the president from the Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney. Kenny Burgamy standing by with that story. But first, to check of the forecast, meteorologist David Ernst. Hi, David.
Good morning, David, and good morning to you watching at home right now. We've got mostly cloudy skies out there in middle Georgia. No rain showers, though, showing up on Doppler Max HD, so we're all dry this morning. It may not be a bad idea to take the umbrella along, although there's certainly a lower chance today that you'll need it compared to the previous days. Just looking at a few isolated storms popping up later on this afternoon, not the widespread rain that we have been dealing with. Temperatures today should be getting into the upper 80s, could be even warmer for this holiday weekend. We'll see that low storm chance continue into the weekend. I'll have your full forecast coming up later on this half hour.
All right, David, thank you. At 6:31, Mitt Romney is officially the party's presidential nominee. Romney wrapped up the Republican National Convention last night. He introduced himself to the American people, telling of his youth and his business experience. He defended his record at Bain Capital and offered sharp criticisms of President Obama's policies. Now the political attention will shift to Charlotte, North Carolina, where the Democratic convention will kick off on Monday. President Obama campaigning this weekend ahead of the convention that starts on Monday.
New this morning, 2 men are dead after what Bibb County Coroner Leon Jones calls a double homicide. Jones identifies them as 26-year-old Antonio Flewellen and 25-year-old DeAndre Emery. The coroner says Flewellen died of a gunshot wound late Thursday night at a home in the 600 block of Cowan Street. He reports Emery died in the emergency room, also from gunshot wounds. Now, the coroner did not have any additional information. When we contacted the Macon Police Department for more details, they have not gotten back to us, but we will update the story as soon as those details are available. At 6:32 this morning, 1 year ago, Macon city leaders responded to a string of teen crimes as a call to action. Last year, on August 24th, someone shot 2 Westside High School students on their way to a bus stop on Virginia Drive. One teen was shot in the chest, another in the leg. Both survived. Just 3 days later, on Saturday, August 27th, 3 teens were shot after a party at Alexander Ballroom on Eisenhower Parkway. A 16-year-old died from a gunshot wound to the head.
And at 6:33, while those high-profile cases prompted public attention and the development of an anti-crime plan, there were actually fewer homicides in 2011 compared to the last 8 months of 2012. Let's take a look at the numbers from the Macon Police Department that have been given us. 14 homicides so far in 2012. That's compared to 13 totally last year. That was the lowest number since 1994. In 2010, there were 22 homicides within the city limits. As for other major crimes, homicides, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, and burglary, known as Part 1 crimes, they're down 14%. When you break that number down, larcenies dropped 13%. There have been 310 fewer burglaries this year than last. Robberies, however, are slightly up by 1%.
So after taking a year of tracking youth crime and launching outreach efforts to curb violence where it starts, we talked to Macon Mayor Robert Rickert about where we stand now. Rickert says the Macon Police Department plays a large role in executing anti-crime efforts, but believes the entire community should take a stand against youth violence. That's why the city partnered with the Bibb County School District this year to encourage kids to stay in school and out of trouble.
I would say 3/4 of the effort is not reactive, but proactive. It's trying to work with the education system to keep kids from dropping out, to keep hope alive, as Jesse Jackson suggested that we do 25 years ago. Once kids lose hope, they quit trying, the grades go down, they either drop out or get thrown out or expelled, and once they're out of school, it's a one-way street downhill.
The mayor also says work is a key part of keeping teens out of trouble, and leaders with the Macon Bibb Workforce Development say the city's reached out to them as well.
Another component of all this involved a panel of clergy members and community leaders. Al Tillman was a member of that panel, which had its last meeting last December. And while the panel dissolved, He said the work has continued. Part of the work involves inviting people associated with gangs to not only attend community events, but to help plan them. He said this allows them to take ownership of their neighborhoods and the city.
I'm not trying to sit here and paint a picture and say that folks are not out here in gangs, folks are not out here committing crimes. That's true, but not everybody. And that some of these guys we can take and we can rehabilitate them, and we can let them be a part of what we're doing to help further change this. And I think this is what the mayor's committee was all about, and I think it's working.
Now, for a much more detailed look at our look back at the anti-crime plan over the last 12 months, go to our full coverage at 13WMAZ.com.
Time now 6:35. For about 3 years, another group has been working hard to transform Macon from a different angle.
It's the College Hill Alliance. They focused on redeveloping the area around Mercer University, but now its future hangs in the balance.
Candace Adorka reports the organization is asking a foundation for more money to last another 3 years.
Now, the Knight Foundation was created more than 60 years ago by the owners of the Knight Ridder newspaper company.
The foundation has chapters in 26 communities where the company owned newspapers, including right here in Macon.
It is 6:38.
Meteorologist David Ernst in the Weather Center this morning. Hi, David. The Grand Opera House was packed with classical music lovers who showed up to see Grammy-nominated Robert McDuffie direct in the city he loves. Last night, the founder of the Robert McDuffie Center for Strings at Mercer University led Mercer faculty artists and the McDuffie Centers for Strings Ensemble in pieces like Serenade in C Major, the Aaron Copland composition Hoedown. McDuffie traveled the world. He's received a Grammy nod, and he currently lives in New York. But in an interview with me that we aired here on 13 WMAZ earlier this week, he told us he will always consider Macon home. It was a beautiful concert last night.
Yeah, you had this, I asked you how it was, and you said it was like being in New York City.
It was. It really was. And it was so, at the very beginning, someone came out and said, we have a wonderful problem tonight. It's a packed house, and there are people waiting to get in, so could we all move, to the center and let some people in on the sides. It was truly a great experience.
Awesome. Well, we got a weekend forecast here. Football kicking off in many areas.
That's right. I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that, not only for college, but we've got high school games going tonight, and should be a pretty nice night for it. We'll see a few isolated storms possible into the late afternoon and evening, but most of us won't be dealing with that.
Welcome back. New hope for patients with Lou Gehrig's disease, and researchers find that keeping up healthy habits into old age does have its rewards. Researchers at NYU say they've identified ways to slow the effects of ALS. It's also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. The debilitating condition attacks nerve cells of the brain and spinal cord. Researchers found that when they tripled a scientific protein in mice, nerve cells stayed attached to the muscle longer. Scientists say this could give ALS patients more mobility, but the study did not show the mice lived longer. On average, ALS patients die within 3 years of diagnosis because the muscles that keep them breathing lose connection to the nerves and stop working. U.S. and Canadian researchers say they've found people with kidney stones have significantly increased risk of developing more serious kidney problems. The researchers tracked over 3 million people for 11 years and found young women with kidney stones were most at risk. Scientists say the stone calcification process may be to blame, as well as scarring from those kidney stones. And healthy living into old age can add years to your life. 5 years for women and 6 for men, to be exact. That from Swedish researchers who followed nearly 2,000 people for 18 years. On average, people who regularly exercised lived more than 2 years longer than those who did not. Smokers also died 1 year earlier than non-smokers. Those are some of today's top medical stories. Meteorologist David Ernst in the Weather Center this morning. Hi, David.
Good morning to you, David. We are looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies for a good part of the day, although we should see a little more sunshine than we did yesterday that we were dealing with earlier this week when we had some of the effects from Isaac in the area.
Okay, David, thanks so much. We're going to take a live look at your Atlanta commute this morning. There is I-75 at Hudson Bridge Road. Traffic moving along just fine there, but this is from our sister station WXIA, their Twitter feed. They remind you, while things may be fine this morning, this afternoon it's going to be a mess because there's a Braves game, football, a race, a parade. So make sure you pay attention to that if you're headed up to the Atlanta metro area. Also Dragon Con going on, so if you're headed up there later this afternoon, make sure to take that commute time into account. Time 6:53, back in just a minute.
6:56 Friday morning.
Here's some of the things the Associated Press thinks you should know on this Friday. Clint Eastwood had a bizarre, that's their word, unscripted endorsement of Mitt Romney last night as he goes off script to the RNC, introducing him. Yeah. Harvard is probing a possible cheating exam. Allegations concern a take-home final at Harvard, and now the university is considering to enact a special honor code. And speaking of college, how do you succeed in college?
Study.
Sleep.
No.
I would say go to class.
A campus-wide flash nap in one-way schools are spending the word that rested students better on campus. So, sleep.
Sleep, study, go to class.
Well, there's the
even if
picture.
you don't feel like being present, just show up. Some of that knowledge will stick in there.
Could you school us on the weather today?
I'll do my best, sure. We are going to see temperatures
Take
today
notes.
warming into the upper 80s. We should see a low chance for storms this afternoon, just a few isolated hit-or-miss thunderstorms developing with the heat of the day. The same would go for this weekend, not looking at the widespread rain or storm threat that we saw earlier this week. Temperatures over the holiday weekend should be in the low 90s, so warming back up. Yesterday it was only low 80s. We had those clouds just hang in and keep things cool, but back to those normal temperatures for the weekend.
David, thanks so much. Time 6:57.
Hope everybody has a great Labor Day weekend.